Nyesha McCauley, and you're watching AccessTV.org.
Dedicated to the only serious choice, the gospel of Jesus Christ, to music and the spoken word. You're watching Light Source Victory Television live with me, your host, Pastor Nyesha McCauley, inviting you to sit back and relax for the next 8 minutes as we continue our journey into the life-changing, life-giving, everlasting word of the Most High God. My friends, it's time for the most important 8 minutes of the day, Bible study. Now, of course, it is my Bible study time that I spend with you. We do it each and every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday right here on AccessTV.org, Facebook, Pinterest, LinkedIn, and other social media around the world. So, we're here. You're there. Let's get started. I want to remind you that this is my Bible study time that I spend with you. We broadcast live from the greatest city on earth, Hartford, Connecticut, New England's rising star. Okay. Speaking of rising stars, we're talking about salvation. As I talked about yesterday, we were looking at a little publication that I had stuck in my door when I was coming from an event that I taped over the weekend. And the publication was a gospel tract. And I started my ministry off by handing out gospel tracts on the street. And I've been preaching the gospel ever since. Okay? And I'm not one of those people that believe you can separate your spiritual side from you. Let's put it that way. All right. People talk about separation of church and state. It's what it really means is do not express your religious beliefs, your religious ideology, while doing the service of the people in government. All right. So I guess in theory it is meant to put rules in place whereby one is prohibited from making judgments or decisions based upon one's religious beliefs. All right. And I use the word religion and religious on purpose. Okay? But the fact of the matter is people make decisions based upon a whole set of life circumstances as it relates to the individual that's making the decision. And part of that decision-making process is where that individual sits in terms of spirituality. So if you get a person who is an atheist and doesn't believe in God at all, they have a natural bias to be favorable to people who agree with their mindset, and a natural bias to be in disagreement or have some sort of contention with those who are opposed to their mindset. I believe by not allowing individuals to express how they feel only hinders the process, because in terms of how folk get along, because you think you know them, because of course you make an assumption. You don't have enough information though. So you make an assumption as to what kind of individual they are based, once again, on a judgment that you make centered in yourself. Everyone is up in arms over this owner of the basketball team, over some of the comments that he made. And I've always said this, that what has happened is it's made it politically incorrect for people to express how they really feel, so they keep their mouths shut or pretend to feel a particular way in your presence. How they really feel doesn't change because they can't articulate it. All right. If you like the LA Clippers or whatever team, you like them, you like them. If the guy that owns the team is a bigot, well, so be it. He might like green eggs and ham. You know, as long as he doesn't treat people in a way that impacts them negatively to the degree that they don't particularly like it. I prefer to know if you don't like me. I'm not offended if you want to call me bad names. My life is well grounded such that any name you call me anytime you talk about me or you talk about people like me, that allows me to see who you are. But it does not rock my world, doesn't affect my world in any particular way at all. So I prefer to know if you despise and want to spit in my face. Then I can exercise my right to avoid you. Like lions, tigers, and bears, okay? If I'm in the jungle with lions, tigers, and bears, I avoid the lions, tigers, and bears. I don't run up in their face and demand equal treatment with the rest of the lions. I give them all the space they need, because lions eat human beings, okay? Until humans eat lions, that's the way it needs to be. So you respect the natural laws of the jungle, not the man-made laws that are often against reality. Now, I don't know why I got off on that tangent, but I guess it was needed to be said to help somebody out there who's all racked up over the ideas and thoughts of some clown. All right, bless his heart. He has a right to be ignorant and a right to express himself just like I do. By the way, expressing the gospel of Jesus Christ is probably the most offensive thing that ever happens. People kill folks for expressing the gospel of Jesus Christ. Okay? And so, I remember now. And so you cannot separate who you are from who you are. You are who you are. All right? And you bring all that to the table in whatever circumstance you find yourself in. All right. So you also bring your spirituality. Okay? And so we're going to talk about salvation this week. And this little tract that was in my door says 1 million souls pour into hell every week. And this is what caught my attention. All right. I knew it was a gospel tract when it was folded up and stuck into the door. Okay. And of course, I never, ever, ever throw away a gospel tract. I just don't do it. Okay. To me, that's like throwing away a Bible. And so I read it. So it says 1 million souls pour into hell every week. Now, I don't know whether that's true or not. I don't know how many people die every week, and I most certainly don't know the spiritual state of those individuals as it relates to whether or not they've accepted Jesus Christ as their personal Lord and Savior. So would I write something like that? No, because I just don't know. But maybe they've done the research and the data. But the thing that caught my eye was the comment in the lower portion of the statement. You see where it says 1 million souls pour into hell every week? Okay, it's the rest of the story that got my attention. It says, only those covered by the blood of Christ will miss it. Now, words mean things, my friends. If you say 1 million souls pour into hell, and then under that you say only those covered by the blood of Christ will miss it, it kind of leads the reader to believe that you're going to go to hell, and only if you are covered by the blood of the Lamb do you miss it. All right? Unless, of course, they're talking about hell being the grave. All right, so, but see, this is English, not Greek. So if we say that 1 million souls die every week, 1 million souls depart from earth. Okay, assume room temperature. Because see, that's not debatable. You and I both one day are going to assume room temperature. Don't know when it's going to happen. That's why the most valuable currency to me is time. Time is the only thing that matters because I know it's limited. I don't know when I will run out of time, but when I do, it's over. It's not like when you run out of money. You can rob a bank, but you can't rob the bank of time. And sometimes I have a hard time getting people to understand that. All right. For a lot of people, the paradigm is that of making money, mammon. Their lives are run by mammon. Some of them say that it isn't, but it is. And so they're always searching for the coin, always reaching for the coin, never letting go the opportunity to get the coin, when in reality, the only thing that matters, in my opinion, is time. And I say my opinion because that's how I govern my life. Time. Money doesn't mean anything to me. I understand that you need it, just like you need clothing or you need to eat. But for me, time is my big thing. Time and free speech. Those are the two most important things to me. Time and free speech. Everything else, everything, and when I say everything, I mean everything else, pales in comparison to time and the ability to express oneself. That's it. That's it for me. Okay? So how one spends one's time matters. And to waste time is worse than burning money, as far as I'm concerned. It's the most valuable thing you have. What are you doing with your time? All right. The Bible tells us that we should redeem the time. Okay, as though as though, or to set in mind the idea that you can get time back by doing certain things. All right, and to a certain degree, that's true, because your time, your sojourn here on earth, is what's finite. Eternity is just that. And so your time here on earth, this gap, is closing quickly. Now, what did you do in this gap that propels you into eternity in the land of the living? All right, let me rephrase that. Where will you spend eternity? Will you spend eternity in the presence of life, or will you spend eternity absent from the presence of life? Okay? Because you are an eternal being. Right? This flesh is not eternal, but your spirit man is eternal. Okay? That part that they tell you to keep in check is eternal. So where you spend eternity is the issue. Will you spend eternity in the presence of God, or will you spend eternity separated from Him? Eternity separated from Him is death. Okay? Hell and the grave, one might say. And the lake of fire and brimstone. Now, lake of fire and brimstone in Scripture is the place where death and the grave are put. All right? So it's the eternal storehouse of those things, or all that is. Think of it that way, more than things, because we have a tendency to think of things as being something tangible. So it is the eternal storehouse, the eternal storage place of all that is in opposition to the will of God. All right? Think of it like that. The eternal storage place for all that is, which stands in opposition to God. Because, see, God creates a thing, it is. God is eternal. That which He creates is eternal. So that which He creates that is outside of His will, by its sovereign ability to choose, all right? All right. The only things that are outside of God's will are the things that have the sovereign authority to determine their own destination, and the things which said individuals corrupt. Right? Now, God can straighten the things out that have been corrupted, but those things, that those individuals, those entities, whatever they may be, angels, cherubim, people, those individuals that have chosen to stand in opposition to God have the sovereign right to do so, and that exercise of said right is what places them in jeopardy. Because, of course, God gives His Son, or makes a provision for them to get right, but it, once again, is something that they have to choose. All right, God never robs you of your right to make the decision of your own. Now, there's a consequence to the decision. Right? We have free speech in the United States, but if you exercise free speech and say something that someone finds offensive, then they also have the right to exercise pushback to what you said. And just because you have free speech don't mean you can say things that are offensive. If you offend people, they will counter, right? They will act in accordance to the thing that you've said. So you might call somebody a bubblehead, and they get really offended at being called a bubblehead, take out a double gauge shotgun and shoot you. That's the reaction to what you said. That's the consequence to what you said. You see, free speech brings about reaction. Are you prepared for the reaction of the free speech? Some people might say, well, it's not fair that the owner of the LA Clippers might lose his team because he exercised free speech. It's not an exercise of free speech. It's who you offended. So since you offended a lot of people by what you said, me not being one of them, because I don't care what folks say. So, but there's a whole lot of people who were highly offended by what he said. Therefore, now they want to boycott his team. And that comes with the territory. You're a big boy. You're a multimillionaire. You've managed to get through life and be successful. You should have enough common sense not to say certain things that are offensive. And in the day of technology, stuff you say on the phone to your girlfriend can be heard by anybody. People with that kind of wherewithal should have that much sense. But sometimes people don't. Stupid people can become successful too. And stupid is not intellectual capacity. Stupid is when you bring harm to yourself or others, or suffering a financial loss, you and those around you, by your action. Stupidity is a financial term in my worldview and lexicon. So those that are supremely stupid do things that cause harm to themselves and those around them. All right? So they are detrimental to themselves and others. And so you can be very smart, you can be very intellectual and do a stupid thing. All right? Standing under a ladder and kicking it out from the guy that's on it, the ladder falls on you. You get hurt, the guy on the ladder gets hurt. That is an act of stupidity. Has nothing to do with how smart the person is. Okay? So there's a consequence. Well, there's a consequence for our condition whereby we stand in opposition to the Creator. That consequence is death. Death, right, comes about as a result of what? Sin. Sin is when you decide to put your will in opposition to God's will. And that's why I said yesterday at the end of the program that you have to look at how your religious view deals with the issue of sin. All right, you want to do a comparative religious study. The crux, the common denominator, the thing that matters most is how it deals with sin. How does it deal with being in opposition to God? All right? Because it is corruption. Corruption. Think of your computer. Think of a corrupt file in your computer that runs rampant. Okay? And starts to corrupt all of the data on the computer. Well, how do you reconcile that corruption? You can't just let it go. You can't just forgive it. There has to be a mechanism by which the corruption is removed and that which was corrupted gets restored. Okay? Same thing with human beings. All right? In their conversation and their interaction with the Creator. All right. If you are in opposition to the will of God, if you're outside of the will of God, then you are a corrupt unit. So how does that corrupt unit get restored? The Bible presents the blood of the Lamb as the restoration mechanism by which that restoration can happen. All right. So that's where we're going to leave off as you continue to do Bible study with me and some on your own. What do you do with sin and the result of sin, which is death, and the destination of death, which is the lake of fire and brimstone? Because hell, death, and the grave are thrown into the lake of fire and brimstone. So don't be, A lot of times people like to make you weary of hell and scared of hell and all that other stuff. Hell is not the thing that you need to be worried about. What you need to be worried about is an eternal separation from the Creator, okay? Which the Bible refers to as the lake of fire and brimstone. Because that's where folk are going to spend eternity, separated from God. And keep in mind, in the opinion of the host, God's wrath will be separated from himself. And I believe that God's wrath is really the lake of fire and brimstone. The burning anger of God's wrath is that lake of fire and brimstone. And as he separates that from himself, and all of those things that are outside of his will are put into that place, that is where you want to spend eternity. Food for thought. That's just food for thought. The ramblings of a guy that owns a TV network. What can I say? Be encouraged, my friends, because there's much to be encouraged by when one realizes that when it's all said and done, the only thing you need to know is this fact, and that is, of course, that Jesus Christ is Lord of Lords and King of Kings. He alone saves and changes lives. Won't you call on his name today and allow him to be Lord of your life? Amen. If you found the program to be any kind of a blessing, like it and share it with friends and family. Ciao, ciao.
The baby cries. Father changed direction. The mother's all cracked up, living inside her pain.